I am Michelle Chalfant, psychotherapist, holistic life coach, and human just like you, learning to navigate life's challenges. With over 25 years experience, I teach people how to get healthy using the adult chair model. The adult chair model is where simple psychology meets grounded spirituality, and it teaches us how to become healthy adults. From anxiety and depression to codependency and relationship issues, you can use the adult chair for just about anything. Each week, I share practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and a wide range of experts on how to get unstuck, how to live authentically, and how to truly love yourself, all while sitting in your adult chair. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. I am Michelle Chalfant. Happy to be here with you talking about one of my favorites, triggers. I love talking about triggers. Love them, love them, love them. They are really key to our growth, key to emotional regulation, transformation, living with more peace, having better relationships. Shall I go on? Because when we can learn how to work with triggers, our triggers, no one else's, our triggers, because our triggers are our responsibility. When we can learn how to do this work, it really, truly can change our lives. I say that from experience. In my 20s, I was someone that was very much out of balance emotionally. I was triggered a lot. I was high, I was low, but triggers were just very common in my life. And when I learned how to work with triggers, I was able to truly live with more peace and balance in my life than ever before. Triggers are something that everybody can learn how to do. And everybody can have this experience of more peace and balance. My friends, who does not need that in their lives, I ask you? We all do, especially in this day and age. We all could use to be, or we can all use more peace and balance and to be less triggered. It's so fun. I have to tell you, I just taught the Adult Chair live event in Nashville last week, and I love asking the question up on stage when I say, how do we feel about triggers? And everyone yells back, we love them, or they're a gift, because they have heard me say this for years. And today I'm going to talk to you again about how to work through triggers. But again, what the heck is a trigger? I love when I hear from other people and they say, if my mother would stop talking to me like that, I'd be less triggered. Or if my best friend would stop doing X, then I would be less triggered. Not true. Sorry, it's not true. Triggers belong to ourselves. They're our issues to work on. And I'm going to jump into that in a moment. I just wanted to say thank you before we move on. Thank you so much for all of the birthday wishes from yesterday. You guys, yesterday was my birthday, and it was beautiful to read all the messages that came in. My team sent me some lovely things, and oh my gosh, I just want to say thank you to everybody. It is something at this age that I don't really want to celebrate anymore. But let me tell you what, when the love comes in, I open my heart and let it in. It's just wonderful. And I encourage you all to do the same. Let it land, as I say. And the one thing that I would love as a gift from all of you that listen, that really enjoy the show, is to, wherever you're listening right now, pause and leave a 5-star review. Not only does it help other people find the show, and then they can learn how to heal and transform their lives, but also I read them. Believe it or not, I do take the time to go to all the different places, and I read your reviews, and it really does keep me going. It's the energy. It's an energy exchange. It's the energy giving back once a year, and I really appreciate it. All right. Here we go, my friends. Let's talk about triggers. So if someone is, let's say, someone outside of you is aggressive or rude, impatient, think about someone that might trigger you. Are they inconsiderate? Maybe they brag, gossip, etc. Here's the crazy thing with triggers. If someone outside of you is acting like that, it will not bother you unless You have the same quality inside of you. Here's the thing. Consciously, you might say, I'm not inconsiderate, and my so-and-so, my best friend, my father, my spouse is so inconsiderate all the time. How can you tell me, Michelle, that I am inconsiderate? I'm telling you, you are inconsiderate. There is a part of you, not all of you, not the bulk of you, but there's a part of you that is inconsiderate that you are denying, because if you didn't have that part, you would not feel triggered. You would not feel triggered. Now, let me clear something up right in the very beginning. It's not to say that if you experience someone being incredibly rude or in your face and screaming and it doesn't make it, and you might look at them and say, what is going on? It might make you angry and you might push them away and set a boundary and say, okay, enough of that. But I got to tell you something. I have been in relationships with people that I remember a friend of mine, oh my gosh, she was like raging out on me and everybody else. And I actually sat there and I was listening to her and I was like, this is what I was thinking to myself, like, this is so fascinating. This is not my stuff at all. This is her stuff. This is her unhealed wounding that she is screaming about, and she's projecting it on me. And I sat there and I was like, this is not mine. And I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. I actually was able to look at her with compassion. I didn't get triggered. I didn't need to defend myself because I knew what was true. And it was because it was her stuff. It wasn't even mine. This is the place that we can get to the more that we work with triggers. This is why I love triggers, because the more that we work on our stuff, the less we get triggered, the more we stay in balance. So let me talk to you about what a trigger is, okay? While we're growing up, we have beliefs. And sometimes we have negative beliefs about ourselves. For example, if your mom or your dad or your sister or brother or somebody says or does something to you when you're growing up, and based on what they say or do to you, you form this belief inside about you that says, I'm bad, I'm not lovable, my mother forgot my birthday, or I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable, or something like that. If you have those beliefs, I hate myself, I'm disgusting, I'm damaged, I'm rude, I'm selfish. My mother just told me I'm selfish because I ate all the brownies and I didn't leave any for my sister. I'm selfish. And maybe you did do that. So all of these beliefs that we form about ourselves, they feel really bad, all these negative, heavy beliefs. So what happens is because they feel bad, feel awful, they get cast away into the unconscious mind. And there's a part of us that Carl Jung termed the shadow part. So these are shadow beliefs. And that's why they're called the shadow. Because think about a shadow, it's dark, you can't see them. So that's why I love triggers. Because when we're triggered, it's like this belief that's been in the dark gets lifted out of the dark and into the light. We really need to get to know what's going on in our unconscious minds in the shadow part, because those beliefs are adding to and creating our reality. So when you see patterns that are showing up in your life, like you keep getting broken up with, or relationships don't last, and you keep feeling like you're unlovable because, gosh, nobody stays, or you get fired from your job, or friends keep acting the same way towards you, like one friend after the next, or something like that. Look for patterns. This is another way to find them. And go inside and say, what keeps happening to me? And how does it make me feel? Right? How does it make me feel? Is your partner treating you poorly? Is your next one treating you poorly? And the next one? And the next one? Perhaps it when you look inside and you ask yourself a question like, how does this make me feel that they keep treating me like this? It makes me feel like I'm not valuable. It makes me feel like I'm not lovable, or maybe I have no worth. Or think about friends that might forget about you sometimes, like randomly and quote unquote coincidentally. Like that doesn't, again, I don't believe in that kind of thing. But what if people like forget your birthday or forget to invite you to the party, or say, oh my gosh, I don't know how, I forgot your email address on that Evite. I'm so sorry. When things like that repeatedly happen, even if they happen once, but repeatedly happen, we've got to learn to, instead of getting mad at other people outside of us, we want to go inside and say, how does that make me feel? What part of me attracted that into my reality? What part of me attracted that into my reality? What's going on within me? Is it the fact that I feel like I have no self-worth or no value? We want to look at these things, because when I can go in and find these inner parts that are creating my reality, I can change them. Yes. And when we change them, we create a different outer world, a different reality. That's why I love triggers. But you've got to be willing to go into them. I've worked for years with people, especially earlier on in my career when I used to work with people a lot on manifestation and things like that, and mindset and things. And I remember working with a lot of people. They're like, I just wish I could make more money. You know, what's going on? So if you're somebody that says consciously, and you just sit every day and you think, I'm worth $100,000 a year. I'm worth $100,000. I'm bringing in $100,000 a year, and you imagine it and all these things. That's phenomenal. Phenomenal. But I got to tell you something. If unconsciously you feel like you are not worthy, like you have little to no value, like you're not enough, it'll be virtually impossible for you to create $100,000 a year. It can't happen. If you feel guilt about bringing in money, a lot of people have this issue. People feel guilty. People have judgment around money, all these things. You've got to be able to change that unconscious belief to then change your reality. So again, when you're triggered, this is a great way to do it. Of course, we can do it with like hypnosis and other things, but this is so easy because who the heck doesn't get triggered? Things can come up for us all the time. When we raise our awareness, we can catch these things. Even when we just pay attention, we just say, wait a minute, why is it taking me so long to bring in X number of dollars a year? I got to look at my mindset. What am I thinking consciously? But again, more importantly, unconsciously. Right? You've got to look at your unconscious programming. That's why triggers are great. That's why. They help us to know the unknown that's deep inside of us. They really help us to know the beliefs that are running our lives and keeping us stuck, frankly, and keeping us stuck in patterns and repeating the same thing over and over again. When we can get in touch with these unconscious beliefs, our lives begin to change. The qualities that we deny within ourselves, we also can see and experience in others, and we call this projection. We project onto others what is actually within us. So if you think of somebody that would say to you, can you believe Sally doesn't have any empathy? Like, what the hell is wrong with Sally? She is so cold, or why does she not have empathy? The thing that we're judging Sally about is actually the thing that's within us. So if I'm judging Sally about lack of empathy, it's probably because I have not a lot of empathy, or a little empathy, or something with empathy. So really, there's a process that we can go through to examine these triggers and how to get to the root of these core beliefs that we have about ourselves. So let's go through this process right now. Okay, here we go. So a trigger is when someone or something irritates you, right? So what's really happening again is that a belief that's deep inside of you, an unknown belief that's buried, is starting to rise up. And what typically we do is we could do a couple different things or a few different things, but we typically deny it and get angry, or we project it on others, or we numb it out and push it back down. And then it's a wasted opportunity to heal that part of us, to really get to know that unconscious belief, to heal that belief. So instead, what we want to do is we want to notice, number one, that we're triggered. And we want to get really curious, like, oh God, here it is. Here we go. Think of me sitting right next to you, saying to you, okay, let's get curious. What's happening? So-and-so just said or did that to you, and it stirred up some emotion. So look for that emotional reaction that's happening within you. It could be a lot of different things, by the way. It could be something like, I'm furious. It could be that you turn into a child. I used to do that. I would turn into like a younger version of myself. I would turn into like a 5-year-old and just disassociate from myself. Sometimes I wouldn't even feel like I was in my body at all. I'd feel small sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what my name is. I am so out of my body. So again, or you get furious, or you want to get angry, or you start yelling and defending. I mean, there's so many things that could happen, but you know better than anybody when you're triggered. So we want to get curious. What's happening? Oh gosh, here we go. I think I'm triggered. This is one of those moments that Michelle was talking about. What do I do next? I can feel my heart's racing. I'm getting really ticked, or I'm out of my body. I disassociated. I don't know my name. Whatever it is that's happening to you, you want to get curious, number one. Number two, you want to slow yourself down. You want to take a moment and take a deep breath. Slowly slow it down. Because what's happening is the ego's reacting, and it might go in and it's defending. So even when you're disassociating, you don't know your name, can't feel your feet on the floor, yelling, screaming, whatever those things are, that's all defending from the ego. It's the ego trying to keep you safe. It's not bad. The ego is just trying to keep you safe. Okay. So when we intentionally and consciously slow down, okay, and we say to ourselves, wait, I'm okay. I'm just being triggered. I wonder what's coming up for me. There must be a belief inside of me. Like, think about what's true. There must be a belief inside of me that's getting activated. That's all that's happening. It's kind of like someone's plugging in a Christmas tree and everything lights up. You're getting lit up on the inside. Someone has plugged into you in a belief that you have, and you are lit up. You are emotionally dysregulated, whatever the heck's going on, you're lit up. Acknowledge it and slow yourself down. Number one and number two. Okay. Please do not feel ashamed or embarrassed. Don't judge yourself. Instead, please have compassion and grace. Like, even as I read this, when I think about people doing this work, I'm so proud that you're taking this time for you and learning to do this. It is profound work that you're doing with yourself. Okay. So give yourself a pat on the back. Say, wow, look at me. I'm doing it. Good job. Think Michelle would be proud of me, and I certainly would, and I am. So do the same for yourself. There's no judgment. Have compassion, self-compassion. Give yourself grace. Nobody typically teaches us how to do this in childhood. How in the heck are we supposed to know how to do it as adults? So we're learning it now. So then the next step is to get clear and honest with yourself. Okay, could this be mine? This must be mine. I'm so triggered. What's going on inside of me? Get really honest. What am I experiencing? Sit with it. Go deeper inside of self. Don't project it back. Don't get angry. Just take some time for yourself to sit with this. Go directly into it. Maybe when you go into it, you're going to say to yourself, God, I feel so much shame, or I feel lack of value or worth. I feel just numb. I feel, go down inside of self. Okay. I feel like I am unlovable. I feel like I don't matter. I feel alone. Whatever it is, go and find it and keep going under. A lot of people say to me, well, I feel angry. Okay, what's under the anger? Well, frustrated. Well, what's under the frustration? And I encourage you, keep going down, dig down, dig down, dig down. Because at the root of those feelings is something more, typically more vulnerable. And underneath the anger, if you just keep chunking down, you're going to find, oh, wow, I didn't know that I don't matter is underneath all of that. Yeah, it is. But you had to sit with it and take your time with it and go underneath it in order to find it. So once you find that emotion, allow yourself to be in it and breathe it, even if it's shame, even if it's not feeling lovable or I don't matter. Sit there and allow yourself to experience it. This is the very thing that you've been running from and avoiding. So the way to transform it is to be fully in it and let yourself experience it and go, yeah, maybe it's an itty bitty, teeny weeny little tiny part of you that says I'm unlovable, or maybe it's bigger. Whatever it is, whatever size it is, go into it and feel it, please. Next step, after you feel it and experience it, let yourself have emotion around it if that's what's coming up. Then you're going to ask yourself, is this still true for me? Is it true today? Is it true that I'm not lovable today? And then answer yourself, well, no. My cat loves me. My dog loves me. My so-and-so loves me. My mother calls me every day. I think she loves me. My so-and-so loves me. But maybe you just have your cat or your dog, but that's someone. So yeah, I guess it's not exactly true. And you build from there. But most of the time when we do this work, we realize that the belief that we're feeling, like I'm not lovable, I don't matter, is not true anymore today. But again, might be a part of you, and that's okay. Just feel that part, and then you go into what's true. And combining those two energies starts to transform that. And then the next time when someone does something, let's say, like doesn't leaves you off an email, the anger's not there, the disassociation's not there, all those things stop. They start fading away. And you go, wait a minute. If that's not true, that if it's not true anymore, that let's say I don't matter, maybe I do matter. And then you sit with the opposite emotion. I do matter. I am valuable. I am lovable. And you own that and you let that emotion ripple through your whole body. And that, my friends, is when your reality starts to change, when you can really sit in the opposite emotion. Okay. So part one is sitting in the emotion that doesn't feel good or the belief that doesn't feel good. Give yourself grace and then sit in the opposite. What else is true? Oh, this is true. And you let that expand. That really shifts your emotional body, which of course then shifts that unconscious body and your conscious mind and starts to create a whole new reality. Give yourself grace and compassion for this, please. Life can be hard. It just is. And triggers, it's just a part of who we are. But I promise you, you can master if I can do this, let me tell you, anybody can do it. You too can master this. It takes a little bit of time. You have to slow down and feel and get into it, right? You have to get into it and allow yourself to go there. Don't run from it or numb it out anymore. It doesn't stop it. It's a temporary Band-Aid. I promise you, if you don't sit in it, it's going to come back. It will come back. So there you have it. That is how we work with these parts. As I've said so many times on this show, you have to go into what scares you. That is how you transform it. That is the key here, you guys. That's it. The more you work with shadow parts, the more they can integrate into yourself, and you will feel less and less triggered as time goes on. That is my promise. That is my promise. And I have had countless people, even my coaches, tell me the same thing, like, wow, this really works. I'm like, yeah. And the people in the workshop last week, same thing. Wow, this really works. Yes, it does. I speak from experience. I would not speak about something on the show unless it let me tell you something. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to talk about it. I speak about what I know works. This stuff works. Okay. This trigger process is powerful. All right. So that's all I've got for you. But don't forget, if you're ready and you want to join us in January for the Adult Chair Coaching Certification Program, I would love to see you there. If you're ready to have a career with great meaning, and let me tell you what, this is a meaningful career and one where you can actually have a career and make money and do all the things and be really happy doing what you do every day and help us to change the world, then come join us. It's a 6-month program. It starts in January for 1 week in person in Charleston, and then the rest is online. Head on over to theadultchair.com/certification. We would love to see you there. All right, so we are heading into the holidays. Listen to this show over and over and over to help you get through the holidays, and you will be better at the end of the holidays because of it, because you will have really transformed so many of your triggers, which means the shadow aspects of self that you were not aware of today, but you will be aware of by the end of the holiday season. So my love to each and every one of you. I will see you next week, seated right here in the Adult Chair.